Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Community of Practice webinar today. We are going to be running through what's new in RIW. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we live, work, and connect today. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. We recognise that long before rail lines, stations, and transport networks connected our communities, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people travelled, cared for, and maintained deep connections to these lands. As we continue to build and enhance rail infrastructure, we acknowledge their enduring relationship with country and the important role they continue to play in shaping Australia's future. So today at our webinar, we'll be running through RIW program changes that came into effect on the 1st of July and also a range of system changes. These will be presented by Luke and Daniel, and then Griffin is going to take us through a bit of a spotlight specifically on the enterprise LMS capability. You can submit questions anytime. Just open the Q&A panel along the top of your screen there. You can type in your questions. Some of the team will be able to jump in and answer those questions right away. If not, though, at the very end, we've got time set aside for live Q&A. We will address any of your questions. So for now, I will pass you on to Luke to kick off RIW program changes.
Thank you, Amelia. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today. So as Amelia noted, we'll give you a brief overview of some RIW program changes and then dive into a few system changes as we go. So first up, RIW program changes, probably worth just setting the backdrop for these around the program. Some of you may be aware there was a formal tender process that was run by the Australasian Railway Association, the ARA, as the RIW program owners throughout 2025. MTA's initial term was until the end of June 2026. So the chance was sort of taken by the ARA to go out and assess the market. MTA was selected as the service provider for the next period as an outcome of that tender, so for at least another 5 years, and that term commenced on the 1st of July this year. So you've probably seen a lot of activity, communications, things happening off the back of that for things that have already been introduced as part of this new term and commitments under this new term for MTA being the service provider of the program. One key goal from the tender was really to make sure that the RIW program continues to provide value to everybody involved. So that's right the way from our network operators who use the system across their networks and projects, contractors who manage their projects and works with that, all the way down to our medium and small businesses that are within the program as well. So a lot of that, the changes and new features that you've seen already introduced, which we'll go through in a bit more detail today, have been off the back of that and really working toward that goal as part of that process. But importantly to note that we will continue to introduce new features, new things, change the program as we progress through this current term. So if we get into the program changes themselves now, two key sort of areas if we look at the program before diving into the functionality. So there was a bit around the sort of commercials and pricing that was reviewed and committed under this new term. So we have committed to locking in cardholder annual subscription costs being frozen for the contract term. So that tiered pricing that determines your annual subscription costs for cardholders, that will remain as is for this contract term. Previously, there was a 5-year card renewal that was required to renew physical RIW cards and a fee associated to get that new card. That is no longer required under this new term. For those using the e-learning functionality through the RIW program, there previously was a course upload fee to get a course into the program as a once-off. That is no longer, so we've wiped that course upload fee. So you're now able to put your e-learning requirements through the RIW system and have that automatically populated and tracked on learners' profiles. There is still the standard $10 enrollment fee that's associated with that, but no upload fee to get the course in the system. There's also some changes to fast track verifications, medical fast tracks, and any sort of bulk requests or requests for certificate copies through the program. So they've all been reduced as well. In terms of governance, so there are a few layers within the governance structure that oversee the program. So that's right the way from the strategic advisory sort of level down to our various working groups that sit under the National Matrix Committee as an example. So all that's been reviewed just to ensure that continuity and providing everything that's committed under the program going forward. So that process mainly sits with the ARA, and a lot of change has sort of been implemented across that governance layer. We've also had a few changes to our Change Advisory Board process, or CAB, as you may hear it referred to. So that's really the group that sort of sits over the new features and looking at what goes into our upcoming releases to be released into the program. So that process has already kicked off under this new structure and looks to provide more continuity by way of changes into the program in this current term. Getting into the functionality itself, so premium functionality, that was something that was already there within the previous contract term. We've built on that and introduced a little bit more that sits under that functionality, both things that sort of sit within the system and then supporting services and capability that look to support organisations a bit further. So everything that was currently there by way of employer competencies, employer job role functionality, using Picard messaging, all of that existing functionality will continue, along with some additional features that we've added in. So there is a new RIW employer obligation training, it's called. So that's by way of an e-learning course that's available to users, employer admins within the system. Quite a good sort of resource if you're onboarding a new administrator, perhaps to use the RIW system, or simply as a refresher to remind people of their obligations in using the system by way of data privacy, data integrity, and various other areas. So that's been introduced under premium functionality. Some supporting services around pay on account. So that will now be available to anybody in premium functionality, both for RIW transactions like subscriptions, renewals, purchasing physical cards. That's now open to anybody that opts for premium functionality, as well as e-learning course enrollments. So you can use pay on account for any of the e-learning as well. We'll be getting out communications by way of a newsletter quarterly, so giving some additional sort of program updates and things to those within premium functionality. And also we have a current sort of benchmarking and assessment process where we go out to organisations and really aim to assess use of the platform and use that to feed into various committees and processes to help inform the roadmap of the program going forward. So we'll open that up a bit further to those within the premium functionality offering. One that's coming early 2027, so we'll have some more to share, but virtual site configuration for those that use the RIW platform to manage site access out in the field. So there'll be more coming up that we'll share on that as we get closer, but looking at adding some enhancements to enable those out in the field using the current RIW app, giving you some more functionality and capability to further manage your site requirements. And more. So there will be more shared. And as I sort of previously mentioned, we want to ensure that we're delivering more over our current term. So all this is sort of what's there today and a little bit into the future, but there will be more that we look to add over time throughout the years of this current term. Some other areas that we'll dive a bit more into in Daniel's section. So expanded Power BI reporting. So we've got embedded Power BI that we're introducing into the RIW system now that sits within the platform. So quite handy in pulling some analytics around all of the vast data that sits within RIW. Enterprise LMS capability. So there's now the option beyond just having your e-learning courses in the program to actually have your own instance that sits off the side integrated into RIW that gives you a more fuller LMS functionality offering, and some expanded fatigue management reporting capability, which we'll dive into a bit further. So with that, I'll give it over to Daniel.
Thanks, Luke. So my part's what's changing in the RIW system itself. I'll flag as we go on what's available today and what's coming up in upcoming releases with a fair bit of activity next month. Starting with card renewals, this one is already done, as Luke mentioned. The 5-year card renewal has been removed, so cards no longer expire on a 5-year cycle, and the 5-year renewal fees have gone with it as well. One thing you'll see as a result, if you open up a record or in my RIW for the worker, the expiry date currently reads as the 31st of December, year 9999. So that's deliberate. We had to switch off the card expiry, which was the trigger for the 5-year renewal. So that's what it looks like in the system while the rest of the changes is being built now. So it's not a data error, and there's nothing you necessarily need to do with that. But what replaces it is a 10-year ID check validity model, which is targeted for the September release. The way to think about it is there's always been a requirement in RIW to renew ID checks every 10 years. However, the supporting structure, we're building the supporting structure around notifications and system prompts to go along with it. So yeah, the way to think about it is card expiry stops being something that can affect compliance or site access. But the ID check requirement is one of the requirements for authority to work, along with the annual subscription, workers having a primary employer, and obviously having job roles and competencies required for the site. So going forward, cards will no longer have carry any expiry at all. 2 practical points. The annual subscription renewal won't be blocked simply because an ID check is approaching expiry. And when an ID check does expire, the worker will need a new photo and a new ID and a new ID check before that new card can be issued. Everything else that drives eligibility will work in exactly the same way as it does today. So detail will come with the release communications and obviously knowledge centre articles that support that ahead of go live. 3 additional things here. 2 are available. One's coming in September. First, on the 1st of July. The account unlock and password reset self-service was made available. In RIW, if a password is entered wrong 5 times, it will by default lock the account. Previously, that required a call or a ticket email to the service desk to manually resolve. So users can now unlock it through the login screen using the one-time passcode and forgotten password link, which works both in RIW and my RIW. So the only nuance to this scenario where you may need to contact our service desk is in the case of updated details. So there's 2 primary methods for multi-factor authentication, being mobile number and email address. If both of those are no longer current, then that would require contact with the service desk. Otherwise, you can choose that route to access your account automatically. 2 things worth knowing. If your organisation uses single sign-on, such as through M365 or Microsoft, the self-service unlock doesn't apply. And secondly, the passcode goes via email or SMS, only if there's a verified mobile on the account. And if the mobile number is not current or not there, that option won't be available. This leads into notifications. So this is a change coming in September. We're improving the clarity, consistency and accuracy of some of the emails and SMSs the system sends. This was triggered with a review of the ID check renewal change, bringing in ID check reminders, 12 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 week, and the day of expiry, in line with competencies and job roles. With that, several of the standard system notifications, some of the phrasing has been changed just in line with modern and general usage, just to make clear around the call to action on some of the notifications as well, to make that clear on this is why you're being told, and this is either requires action or doesn't require action. Now, the last one is also live today as well, and as Luke mentioned, part of the change advisory and change management processes for RIW. We've introduced a suggested RIW improvement option. So currently this is in the resource centre. So when you're logged into RIW, there's a little I help button on the bottom right hand side. When you expand that opens up the resource centre, along with accessing service requests at the knowledge base. But now there's the suggested RIW improvement. The idea is that you tell us what needs to change, why, who benefits. Through this, it's an automated process where once logged, you'll get a reference with details that you can use to contact us. But also you'll get updates as requests are assessed. Typically, assessments occurring on a quarterly basis with the change advisory report, or quarterly updates. However, there may be more frequent updates, which will be all automated once you've logged the request. Once you've logged, you'll see where it goes through the journey from assessment, prioritisation, and in the case, obviously, not everything. We can't change everything overnight. But if there's any reasons why something can't proceed, with clear reasons as well. From there as well, our team may reach out directly to the requester just for further information. The idea is the more and better quality information we've got around the request, the stronger the assessment will be in assessing value to the RIW program. Moving to Power BI. So Power BI reporting is now embedded directly within the RIW system. Some of you may already have it because it's been running as an early access program with a limited group. However, from the 7th of September, we're opening it up much more broadly. So it's going to be switched on automatically for employers with 300 or more employed workers in RIW, and for all network operators and network manager logins. So there's no formal request or approval needed to access that. You'll find it under reports, and then an option for Power BI reports in the top navigation. If you're a smaller employer, it won't be switched on automatically on the 7th, but feel free to contact us directly, and we can facilitate access. What this does is it gives direct access to your own compliance and workforce data with much more flexible reporting capabilities. The part I'd point out is probably forward visibility. So it's not just what's happened, but what's coming. Competencies expiring over a period of time, filtering by specific job roles. Job roles that have lapsed, workers heading toward a competence gap. It's the difference between, I guess, planning mobilisation and discovering a problem further down the line. It's all interactive. Be able to filter it, click charts, filter everything else, export to Excel, and also click straight through to the workers record in RIW if you need to fix something that's been found. As I said, there's employer views and network views aligned to each which each cohort needs to see. two things to keep in mind. When you've got access, what each person sees still follows the existing RIW permissions. So it doesn't open up anything that wasn't already available to the user. It's just presenting it in another way. And currently, the data refreshes are hourly, so not in real time. So for an actual access or compliance decision, it's still always best to check the RIW live record rather than the report. And last one, and this is the newest, we've started an early access program for biomathematical fatigue reporting. So currently this is with a small number of network operators and principal contractors. The idea behind this solution is that RIW already captures when people swipe on and off a site. Until now, that's been used for access and compliance. So what this does is it takes the same attendance data, runs it through biomathematical modelling. We've partnered with a firm in the United States, which has a fair bit of experience in adjacent sectors in the US. It turns it into a view of where fatigue exposure sits. So what it does, it gives you an objective picture based on what's actually happened, rather than what the roster said or what was going to happen. The idea is the rosters are a plan, swipes are the record, and the reports show where exposure is elevated, broken down by project, site, or worker cohort. That's usable evidence for safety forums, assurance reviews, and conversations around how the project and site are running. And it's a way of testing the fatigue controls that you may already have in place on the ground. Just another one, it indicates fatigue exposure patterns. It doesn't necessarily determine fitness for duty or replace FRMS systems that you may already have, but it's just an additional lens and level of assurance to identify where some of the hotspots could be. The point of the program is to work out what's actually useful. So participant feedback will shape how these reports are used. So if that's of interest, reach out to us, Luke, and we can introduce you to the early access program. Just to close, so available today. The 5-year renewal's gone. The self-service account access, the improvement channel, and the fatigue program's underway. And September brings expanded Power BI reporting to that much wider group, and the introduction of the 10-year ID check model as well as notification improvements. So Griffin, over to you to tell us all about the RIW integrated LMS.
Thanks, Daniel. Hi, everyone. I'm Griffin Smith, Project Manager at MTA and Product Manager for Acorn LMS. I'm excited to announce a new solution for industry. MTA have partnered with Acorn LMS to integrate RIW to provide an enterprise learning solution designed specifically for the rail industry. The enterprise LMS solution provides the complete Acorn LMS capability for your internal workforce, supporting both RIW card holders and employees who do not hold or require an RIW card. The added value is the connection with RIW, allowing relevant learning and competency outcomes to become part of the worker's broader rail competency record. Many rail employers currently manage internal learning and RIW competency requirements through separate systems and processes. This creates duplicate administration, manual uploads, and fragmented records. It also results in different experiences for internal employees and employees with an RIW profile and contractors. As the workforce grows, the administrative burden grows with it. The opportunity is to connect these processes and create a more consistent and scalable approach. This map gives a high-level overview of the solution. Currently, all national and network e-learning competencies An employer admin enrolls a worker to an e-learning in RIW, which sends the worker to RIW e-learning Acorn to complete the designated e-learning. On completion, that record is then sent back to RIW and awards the competency to the worker's profile. The new feature on the right-hand side is the Enterprise LMS. Acorn LMS now becomes your organization's enterprise learning environment for onboarding, internal training, assessments, and reporting. And where if a worker has an RIW profile, their RIW number is securely linked to their enterprise LMS account. Employee competencies can then be sent from your organization's Acorn instance to RIW and award that worker's profile. Partnered RIW content. If you currently have any network e-learnings hosted in RIW, these can also be accessed through a connected single sign-on journey for your RIW cardholder workforce. The solution supports an organization's entire workforce. Non-rail safety employees without an RIW profile can complete onboarding training, compliance training, and role-based learning entirely within Acorn. RIW cardholders receive the same enterprise learning experience with the additional benefit of connected employer competencies and access to RIW partnered content. This means organizations do not need separate learning platforms for different workforce groups. They can manage one enterprise learning strategy with targeted RIW connections where required. The key benefit is reducing the manual work required to move information between learning and competency systems. Admins gain better visibility of completions. Workers receive a more consistent experience. This solution does not replace RIW as the national network rail competency record. It strengthens the connection between the rail organization's internal learning environment and the RIW ecosystem. Acorn provides the enterprise learning and performance capability. Employers can manage internal and external e-learning, onboarding training, assessments, blended learning, cohort management, development plans, and automated workflows within a branded environment. The platform can be configured around your organization's workforce structure and learning requirements. The RIW integration then adds rail-specific value by connecting eligible learning outcomes for the worker's RIW record. This is a quick overview of the implementation process. It begins with the discovery to confirm your organization's workforce, learning requirements, use cases, and integration needs. We then establish the enterprise tenancy, followed by configuration of RIW connection, content, users, and any other integrations that you might require. User acceptance testing, admin training, and operational readiness are completed before go live. The next step is a focused discovery conversation. Please reach out to Luke or myself to find out more information and to book in a demo. Thank you everyone for your time today.
Thank you, Griffin. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.